The night was silent in space. Around the dying red star, only one human station floated, old, rusted, and forgotten. Inside it lived Dr. Aaron Blake, a lonely scientist who had spent years studying dying worlds. He was tired of silence, tired of empty corridors, tired of watching suns fade into darkness. That night, as he sat near the control desk drinking cold coffee, something unusual happened. The communications screen flickered. A strange signal came through. Not from any known planet, not from any human system. At first, Aaron thought it was just static, but then he heard it. A voice, soft and broken, filled with pain. "My body, yours, please, feed my daughter." Aaron froze. He turned up the volume, heart beating faster. The voice came again, full of static and sorrow. "Please, tonight, my body is yours, feed my daughter." He stared at the screen, shocked. No translation system could match the pattern. It wasn't from any known alien species, yet the emotion behind the words, it was human, desperate, real. The signal kept repeating, and with every cycle it grew weaker. Aaron tried to trace its source. The computer showed coordinates from a small planet near the red star, a dead world, burned long ago. No life, no oxygen, no signs of civilization. But the signal came from there, from deep beneath its cracked surface. He hesitated. It could be a trap, or a glitch. But something inside him, a small spark of curiosity, or maybe compassion, refused to ignore the voice. He put on his spacesuit, grabbed his scanner, and prepared his small landing craft. As the ship left the station, the dying star's red light painted his face. It looked like blood. He stared at the planet below, black storms, ash clouds, and lightning crawling across the sky. "Who are you?" he whispered. "And what happened to your daughter?" The descent was rough. Winds scream. Dust hit the glass, and the scanners showed strange energy spikes. When he finally landed, everything was quiet. A desert of red sand and shattered glass. He stepped out, walking slowly, following the faint signal. Each step made his boots sink into ash, like walking on the bones of a burned world. Then he saw it, a piece of metal half buried in the sand. The remains of a ship, alien in design, smooth and silver. As he approached, his scanner beeped wildly. There was life inside, faint but real. He moved closer, heart pounding. The wreckage opened slightly, and something moved within. It was a figure, crawling, weak, glowing faintly under the red light. Her skin was like silver cracked glass, her hair pale as frost, her eyes glowing blue. When she saw him, she tried to speak but coughed instead. Aaron knelt beside her, his gloved hands trembling. "It's okay," he said. "I'm here to help." She looked at him, and her voice was soft, broken. "Human. Please, save her." He followed her shaking hand. She was holding something close to her chest, wrapped in a metallic cloth. It was small, round, and glowing, like a cocoon made of light. Aaron carefully took it from her hands. The object pulsed with warmth, like a heartbeat. He looked back at the alien woman. Her breathing was slow, her eyes dimming. "Who are you?" he asked. "What is this?" She smiled weakly, tears, or something like tears, running down her silver cheeks. "My daughter," she whispered. "She needs to feed. Please. My body is all that's left." Aaron didn't understand. "Feed? What do you mean?" he asked. But before she could answer, her hand fell. Her body shimmered, and tiny particles of light began to drift from her skin into the air. She was dissolving. Aaron reached out helplessly, trying to stop it. Her last words came like a soft echo. "Please, take care. Human." Then she was gone, only her faint silver dust floated in the air, glowing for a moment before fading into the wind. Aaron stood there, alone on the dead world, holding the glowing cocoon. He looked up at the dark red sky and whispered, "I don't know who you were, but I promise, I'll protect her." Suddenly the ground shook. The wreckage around him began to collapse, and the scanner beeped rapidly. The planet was unstable. He ran back to his ship, clutching the cocoon close to his chest. The red sandstorm chased him all the way, lightning striking behind him. As the ship lifted off, he looked through the window one last time. He saw the place where she had died, and for a second, he thought he saw her standing there, smiling, but when he blinked, she was gone. Back in the station, Aaron placed the glowing cocoon on a medical bed. The light inside flickered, beating like a heart. He touched it gently and felt warmth, almost like a child's breath. He sat beside it, tired and speechless. "What have I brought back?" he whispered. Outside, the red star flickered one last time before fading, and inside the station, the cocoon pulsed with brighter light, as if something inside was waking up. Hook ending. Aaron didn't see it, but behind him, the monitor flashed a final message from the signal. "Thank you, human. My body is yours. Feed her well." The red star outside had gone dark. Only the emergency lights in the space station kept flickering. Dr. Aaron Blake sat beside the glowing cocoon, staring at it for hours. It pulsed softly, like something alive. Every few seconds it made a sound, a faint heartbeat mixed with whispers. He couldn't understand the language, but he could feel the emotion in it. Sadness, hunger, and hope. Aaron hadn't slept since he returned. The words of the dying alien woman haunted his mind. "My body is yours. Please feed my daughter." He didn't know what she meant, but her face wouldn't leave his thoughts. He had seen many strange creatures in his life, but none had ever spoken with such pain, such love. He ran tests on the cocoon. The scanner showed it wasn't made of metal or flesh. It was energy, wrapped in living light. Its core was unstable, yet the structure was perfect. The readings showed something incredible. The DNA inside was changing, mixing with unknown particles. Aaron whispered to himself, "Are you evolving? Or being born?" He tried to connect the cocoon to the station's life support system, hoping to stabilize it, but the cocoon reacted on its own. It started absorbing energy from the room. Lights dimmed, the walls buzzed with static. Aaron quickly shut down the system, afraid it might explode. Then, the cocoon stopped, glowing peacefully again, as if nothing had happened. Aaron sat back and sighed. "You really are alive, aren't you?" Hours turned into days. The cocoon kept glowing softly. Aaron talked to it every night, about Earth, about loneliness, about why he came to this part of space. It became his only company. He started feeling like a father talking to an unborn child. One night, as he sat with his coffee, the cocoon suddenly trembled. Aaron jumped, spilling the cup. A voice came from the speaker, small, weak, but clear. "Human, where is mother?" Aaron froze. He turned toward the cocoon, his heart racing. Who said that?" he whispered. The cocoon pulsed again, the voice returning. "Where is mother? Why do I feel cold?" Aaron moved closer, gently placing his hand on the surface. "It's me," he said softly. "I'm Aaron. Your mother, she's gone. But she wanted me to protect you." For a moment there was silence. Then the cocoon glowed brighter and the voice came again, sad and trembling. "She said, her body will feed me. She said you will help." Aaron swallowed hard. "I don't understand what that means," he said, "but I'll keep you safe, I promise." The cocoon's light slowed, pulsing like a calm heartbeat. Then the voice faded away. Aaron whispered, "Rest now, little one. You're not alone anymore." The next day, Aaron checked the readings again. The energy inside had increased, as if the cocoon had fed on something, but there was no power loss in the station, no radiation detected. Where was it feeding from? He leaned closer to the scanner. That's when he saw it. A faint silver dust on the floor, the same dust that came from the alien woman's body. It was gone now, completely absorbed. Aaron finally understood. She had meant it literally. Her body was the child's first food, her last gift. He sat quietly for a long time, his chest heavy. "This was her promise," he murmured. "And now it's mine." He decided to name the life inside the cocoon. "Lyra," he said softly. "Your name will be Lyra, child of light." The cocoon glowed brightly at the sound, almost as if it liked the name. Aaron smiled weakly. For the first time in years, he didn't feel completely alone. Days passed, and Lyra began to change. The cocoon became thinner, almost transparent. Aaron could see small movements inside. A hand, a face, glowing lines running through her tiny body. He realized she wasn't just an alien, she was something new, something between energy and life. He recorded every detail, sending secret notes into his journal. If anyone ever found his station, they would know her story. One night, alarms suddenly rang across the lab. The energy levels spiked dangerously high. Aaron rushed in. The cocoon was shaking, cracks forming along its surface. "Not yet," he shouted. "You're not ready." The machine sparked, and the whole station vibrated. He tried to shut it down, but the cocoon exploded in a flash of white light. Aaron fell back, blinded. When his vision returned, he saw her. A small figure stood in the middle of the room, surrounded by soft light. She looked almost human. Pale skin, glowing blue eyes, silver hair that floated slightly in the air. She looked at him with eyes seeing a nascent curiosity. "Human," she said slowly. "You kept your promise." Aaron's mouth opened in disbelief. "You can talk," he whispered. "You're alive." She smiled faintly, her eyes full of warmth. "Mother said you would care for me. Thank you, Aaron." He wanted to move closer, but then he noticed something strange. Every electronic device around her was flickering. Lights, screens, even the air seemed to hum. Lyra looked around with fear. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I'm hungry." Aaron felt a chill down his spine. "What do you mean, hungry, Shigos?" he asked. Before she could answer, the lights went out. The entire station was swallowed by darkness, and in that darkness, Lyra's body began to glow brighter and brighter. The hum turned into a deep vibration that filled the air. Aaron stood frozen, watching as her small hands reached toward the reactor wall. The metal began to melt like wax, and streams of blue light flowed into her. She was feeding, not on food, but on pure energy. Hook ending. When the power returned, Aaron saw Lyra sitting quietly on the floor, her eyes dim, her voice weak. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt your home." Aaron stepped forward, his heart heavy. "What are you, Lyra?" he said. She looked up, tears of light in her eyes. "Mother called me the last of the Nareen," she said, "and now they will come for me too." The silence after the blackout was deep and heavy. Only the sound of Aaron's slow breathing filled the room. He stood there, staring at the small glowing girl who sat in the corner. Her light had dimmed now, her eyes soft and sad. The metal wall behind her was melted like candle wax, blue smoke still curling upward. Aaron walked closer, careful not to frighten her. "Lyra," he said softly, "are you hurt?" She looked up, her small voice trembling. "I didn't mean to take so much," she whispered. "I was just hungry." Her woo. RDs echoed through the cold lab, more human than alien, filled with guilt. Aaron knelt beside her. He could feel heat coming from her body, not burning but warm, alive. He gently touched her shoulder and light rippled under his fingers. "It's okay," he said. "You didn't know?" Lyra looked at his hand, her eyes glowing softly. "Mother said I would need to feed from light," she murmured, "but I didn't want to hurt anyone." Aaron smiled faintly. He didn't understand her kind, but he understood her fear. He was human, and she was something else, a miracle born from death. And yet, when she looked at him, he felt nothing but compassion. Over the next few days, Aaron tried to study her carefully. Lyra didn't need food or water. She absorbed energy directly from lights, engines, even batteries. She could touch a wire and make it glow again. But when she was hungry, things around her began to flicker. Aaron learned to give her small doses of power, enough to keep her stable. Lyra learned fast. She watched his movements, copied his speech, and even laughed when he told her stories about Earth. She loved to draw. She used her glowing fingers to make lines of light in the air. Once, she drew a picture of 3 figures. "This is Mother," she said, pointing at the first one. "This is you, human Aaron," she said with a smile. "And this," she whispered, pointing to the last glowing figure, "is me." Aaron's heart softened. He hadn't heard laughter in years. Now, this child, made of energy and sorrow, was filling the empty halls of his lonely station with light. He thought maybe, just maybe, she could have a chance at life. But then the strange readings began. The station's sensors started picking up unknown signals, bursts of light energy from deep space. At first, Aaron thought it was interference, but the signals grew stronger each day. He noticed that every time Lyra fed, the energy spikes reached beyond the system, like a beacon. One night, as he was checking the monitors, Lyra came up behind him quietly. "Are you angry with me?" she asked, her voice small. Aaron turned to her, surprised. "No, of course not," he said. "Why would I be?" She looked at the screen where the signals were flashing. "They can see me now," she said. "They know I am alive." Aaron frowned. "Who are they?" he asked. Lyra hesitated, her face darkening. "The ones who destroyed my people," she said slowly. "The Council of Light. They said my kind were dangerous, that we feed on souls." Her words made the room feel colder. Aaron leaned closer. "Is it true?" he asked. "Do you feed on souls?" Lyra shook her head quickly. "No," she said, tears forming in her glowing eyes. "I only take energy from stars or machines, never from life, never." Aaron believed her. There was truth in her trembling voice. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll protect you," he said firmly. "No one will harm you here." Lyra nodded, wiping her glowing tears away. But in her eyes, he saw fear. a fear that came from memory, not imagination. Days passed. Lyra began to grow stronger. Her light spread softly through the halls, making the dark metal shine again. Aaron started teaching her about humanity, kindness, curiosity, music, and hope. In return, Lyra taught him about her mother's world, a place where stars sang and light had voices. Sometimes, when she spoke, her words would make the air hum with quiet melody. Aaron listened in silence, feeling something deep inside him change. He was no longer a lonely man in space. He was a guardian, a teacher, maybe even a father. Then, one night, the emergency alarm screamed. Aaron ran to the control room. The radar showed incoming ships, fast, armed, and closing in. Lyra appeared beside him, her face pale with terror. "They found me," she whispered. "The council knows where I am." Aaron's blood ran cold. "How?" he asked. "My light," she said softly. "They can feel it, like you feel warmth from fire." Aaron turned on the defense systems, though he knew they were weak. He looked at her and said, "Hide in the lower chamber. No one will find you there." Lyra shook her head, her voice trembling. "They will hurt you if they know I'm here." Aaron smiled sadly. "Then let them come," he said. "I won't let them take you." The ships arrived, shining bright lights across the station. Through the window, Aaron saw their insignia, the mark of the Galactic Council. A cold voice came through the comms. "This is Commander Verrill of the Council Enforcement Fleet. We have tracked a forbidden life form on your station. Hand it over, human, or face termination." Aaron's heart pounded. He turned off the communicator. He looked at Lyra, who stood silently beside him, light trembling across her small hands. "What will you do?" she asked. Aaron whispered, "I'll do what your mother did." Lyra tilted her head, confused. He smiled softly. "I'll protect you with everything I have." Hook ending. Outside, the galactic ships began charging their weapons. Inside the station, Aaron took one last look at the little girl glowing beside him. Her light flickered, forming the image of her mother for just a moment. Then, with a deep breath, she said, "Then, human Aaron, I will protect you too." The lights dimmed, the stars outside trembled, and the war for the child of light began. The alarms continued to echo through the dark station. Flashing red lights painted the walls like blood. Dr. Aaron Blake stood beside the control panel, his hands shaking. Outside the window, a fleet of bright ships hovered near the station, silent, cold, and ready to fire. Lyra stood behind him, her light dim and frightened. Her small fingers gripped the edge of his coat. "They found me," she whispered, her voice trembling like a child's. Aaron turned to her, trying to sound calm even though fear burned inside him. "Listen to me, Lyra," he said softly. "No matter what happens, don't call me out, understand?" Lyra nodded, but her glowing eyes filled with tears. "I don't want you to get hurt, human Aaron," she said. He smiled faintly. "I've already been hurt enough by loneliness, child. You're worth the pain." Before she could answer, a loud voice filled the room through the speakers. "This is Commander Verrill of the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet," the voice said. "You are harboring a forbidden life form, a Nareen, classified as a universal threat under Article 0 of the Galactic Law." Aaron stared at the screen in disbelief. "A universal threat?" he muttered. "She's just a child." The voice continued coldly. "You have 5 minutes to surrender the creature or your station will be destroyed." Aaron's mind raced. He looked back at Lyra, small, innocent, trembling in fear. Could she really be what they said she was? Could this little girl of light be a danger to the galaxy? No, he thought. Not her. Never. He turned on the transmitter and spoke. "This is Dr. Aaron Blake of the Sol Research Station," he said firmly. "The being you're looking for is not a weapon or a threat. She's a child, intelligent, emotional, and peaceful." There was a pause, then a cold laugh. "Peaceful?" Commander Verrill said. "Her kind consumes living energy. Entire star systems were lost to them. They cannot exist." Aaron clenched his fists. "That's not true," he said. "She doesn't harm anyone. She feeds only on light, not on life." But the commander ignored him. "Our orders are clear," he said. "Destroy the host if it refuses to comply." Aaron shut the communication link. His heart raced as he ran to Lyra. "Hide in the maintenance bay," he said quickly. "Stay quiet. Don't move until I come back." Lyra's eyes filled with tears again. "I can protect us," she said softly. "I can make the light fight for us." Aaron shook his head. "No, Lyra. If you fight, they'll see it as proof that you're dangerous. Let me try to talk to them first." She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Promise you'll come back," she whispered. Aaron looked into her glowing eyes. "I promise," he said, even though he wasn't sure he could keep it. He walked toward the airlock. Outside, bright lights from the fleet blinded him. 3 figures appeared through the shimmer of space. Armored officers in silver suits, their helmets reflected the dying star's light like mirrors. Aaron raised his hands. "I'm unarmed," he said. "Please listen to me." The lead officer stepped forward. His voice came through the speaker, sharp and mechanical. "Where is the Nareen child?" Aaron hesitated. "I destroyed it," he lied. "The cocoon was unstable. It disintegrated after hatching." The officer tilted his head slightly. "Our sensors still detect the energy signature," he said. Aaron swallowed. "Residual radiation, nothing more." The officer didn't respond. He raised a small scanner and a red light swept over Aaron. "Your pulse is irregular," the officer said. "You are lying." Aaron's heart stopped for a second. Before he could think, another voice came through their comms. "Commander, the station's lower levels show heat signatures." The lead officer turned toward his men. "Search the area," he ordered. Aaron panicked. He had to do something. "Wait," he shouted. "You don't understand. If you go near her, you'll hurt her. She's—" Before he could finish, one officer pushed him aside. "Humans always break the law for emotion," the officer said coldly. "You are weak." They moved deeper into the station, weapons glowing. Aaron followed, desperate. He reached the lower deck just as one of them opened the door to the maintenance bay. Lyra stood inside, glowing faintly, tears in her eyes. The officer raised his weapon. Aaron screamed, "No!" There was a flash, not from the weapon, from Lyra. A wave of pure light burst through the room, sending the office. Earths flying back, their armor cracked, sparks flew. Lyra fell to her knees, shaking. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "They scared me." Aaron rushed to her, wrapping his arms around her trembling body. "It's okay," he said. "It's okay." But outside, alarm screamed again. The commander's voice returned, furious. "You've attacked galactic officers. The law will not forgive this human." Aaron looked up at the ceiling, breathing heavily. "You brought this on yourselves," he said softly. "You attacked a child." The communication ended, and outside the ships began to charge their weapons. Through the small window, the stars vanished behind the glow of energy cannons. Lyra held Aaron's hand tightly. "Are they going to kill us?" she asked, her voice trembling. Aaron looked at her, forcing a weak smile. "Not today," he said. "We'll find another way." He opened the emergency panel and activated the old evacuation module. The system beeped weakly. Half the circuits were dead. Lyra closed her eyes and touched the control screen. Blue light spread through the wires, bringing the dead systems back to life. Aaron stared in awe. "You fixed it," he said. Lyra smiled faintly. "I gave it a little of my light." The engines roared. The small escape ship detached from the burning station. Behind them, the Council's fleet fired. The explosion lit up the dying star like a new sun. Aaron held Lyra close as the ship sped into the dark. Outside the window, the debris of his old home floated away. Hook ending. As they disappeared into deep space, Aaron whispered, "They'll never stop chasing us now." Lyra looked at him with tired eyes and said softly, "Then we run, until the stars themselves protect us." But far behind them, in the ashes of the destroyed station, a single red light blinked, a tracker still active, and the hunt had only just begun. The stars outside the small escape ship looked peaceful, but inside, everything was falling apart. Dr. Aaron Blake sat at the control desk, his eyes half open from exhaustion. The oxygen filters buzzed weakly, the power cells blinked red, and the navigation system was cracked. Across from him, Lyra slept quietly, her soft light glowing in the dark cabin. She looked peaceful, like a child dreaming. Aaron smiled faintly as he watched her. For a moment, she didn't look like an alien or a danger, just a daughter, the daughter he never had. He reached out and brushed her silver hair with trembling fingers. Her body was warm, her breathing steady. In the silence, Aaron whispered, "You're all I have left now, Lyra." But deep inside, fear crept into his heart. He knew the galactic fleet would not give up. They had placed a tracker somewhere, and when they found him again, they wouldn't ask questions. Lyra stirred and slowly opened her glowing blue eyes. "Are we safe, human Aaron?" she asked softly. Aaron smiled, forcing confidence he didn't feel. "For now," he said, "we're safe for now." She looked through the window at the endless stars. "They are beautiful," she said, "but they feel sad." Aaron blinked, surprised. "Sad?" Lyra nodded. "Stars cry too, when life dies around them." Her words sent a chill through his soul. She spoke like she could feel the universe itself breathing. He turned away quickly, changing the subject. "Get some rest, Lyra," he said. "We'll reach the next moon soon." Hours later, the small ship landed on a forgotten moon, cold, gray, and covered in frozen dust. There was no sign of life, no signal, no sound, just peace. Aaron and Lyra stepped out into the silence, their boots crunching against the frost. Lyra looked up at the pale horizon, her body glowing brighter. "This place feels lonely," she whispered. Aaron nodded. "That makes two of us." They found shelter inside an old mining cave. It was dark and hollow, but it was safe. Aaron set up his small portable lab while Lyra explored the tunnels. She ran her hands along the walls, leaving trails of light that made the rocks sparkle. "It's beautiful," she said, "like sleeping stars trapped inside stone." For a while, things were quiet. Aaron started to feel hope again. He even began working on a plan to erase their energy trail to hide her forever. But his hands were shaking. His head felt heavy, his vision blurred. When he checked the scanner, his blood pressure was dropping fast. Radiation, the crash and exposure from the reactor before, had poisoned him slowly. He sat down, breathing hard. Lyra returned, sensing something wrong. "Your light feels dim," she said softly. Aaron laughed weakly. "Humans don't have light, remember?" Lyra frowned. "Yes, you do, but yours is fading." She placed her small glowing hands on his chest. A soft warmth spread through him. Like sunlight after a storm, the pain faded, and he could breathe again. He looked down at her, amazed. "What did you do?" Lyra smiled gently. "I shared my light with you." But then he saw her hands trembling, her glow flickering like a dying candle. "Lyra, stop," he said quickly. "You're hurting yourself." She shook her head stubbornly. "I won't let you die," she said. "Mother said we must give light to those who keep us alive." Aaron's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to do this," he whispered. She smiled weakly. "You gave me life when everyone else wanted to end me," she said. "Now let me give some back." He held her close, his voice breaking. "You're just a child," he said. "You shouldn't have to save anyone." Lyra looked up at him, her glowing eyes steady. "Then why did you save me?" she asked. Aaron froze, no answer on his lips. He looked at her, so pure, so alive, and realized the truth. He didn't save her because she was a discovery. He saved her because she made him human again. Days passed and Aaron grew weaker. Lyra's light dimmed too, each day a little more. She refused to leave his side, even when he told her to rest. Sometimes he would wake in the night to find her sitting beside him, her hands glowing faintly on his chest, sharing what little life she had left. One evening, as the sun set behind the icy mountains, Aaron opened his eyes and saw Lyra lying on the floor beside him. Her glow was almost gone. He crawled to her side, panic rising in his chest. "Lyra, no, stay with me," he whispered. She looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "You're strong now," she said softly. "But I'm so tired, Aaron." Aaron's tears fell onto her silver hair. "You can't leave me," he said. "I promised your mother I'd protect you." Lyra smiled faintly, her small hand touching his face. "Then keep your promise," she said. "Live, even if I can't." But Aaron shook his head, holding her hand tight. "If living means losing you, then I've already failed." Lyra closed her eyes. Her voice was faint now, almost a breeze. "Mother said love is giving what you can't keep," she whispered. "And you gave me everything." Aaron bent down, his forehead touching hers. "Then take my light too," he said. Lyra's eyes opened one last time, wide with fear. "No, please, if you give it, you'll die." Aaron smiled weakly. "Then we'll share the same sky again." He took her hands and closed his eyes. For a moment there was silence. Then a brilliant blue light filled the cave. The rocks shook. The machines outside sparked, and when it faded, both of them were lying still, surrounded by soft, glowing dust. Hook ending. Moments later, Aaron's heart began to beat again. His eyes opened, glowing faintly with the same blue light as Lyra's. She stirred beside him, weak but alive. "Father," she whispered softly. "You shared your light." Aaron smiled, his voice gentle. "No, Lyra," he said. "You shared your soul." Outside the cave, the stars above burned brighter than ever. But far away, the galactic fleet had already found their trail again. And this time, they weren't coming to capture. They were coming to end them both. The wind howled across the frozen moon. The cave where Aaron and Lyra hid glowed faintly from within. A soft blue light shimmered from the walls like trapped stars. Inside, Aaron sat beside a weak fire, his face pale but alive. Lyra lay next to him, her glow soft, almost human. For 3 days, neither of them had spoken much. Aaron was still adjusting to what had happened. His body now pulsed with strange energy. Sometimes his reflection flickered in the mirror, showing veins of light under his skin. Lyra called it sharing the soul. But to him, it felt like carrying a piece of her inside. He looked down at her, sleeping peacefully, her hand resting over his heart. He whispered, "You gave me your light, little one, and now it burns in me too." But deep down, he knew the peace wouldn't last. The galactic fleet was coming. They had traced the energy surge from their fusion, and this time they would not hesitate. Outside, the scanners hummed softly. Suddenly, a red warning light blinked. Incoming ships. Fast. Multiple. Aaron's heart sank. "They found us," he muttered. Lyra opened her eyes, glowing faintly in the dim light. Her voice was calm. "They never stopped searching." Aaron stood, determination in his tired eyes. He walked to the seat control panel and activated the comms. The old system buzzed and crackled. He began typing a message, not to the council, not to beg, but to warn. He spoke into the transmitter, his voice steady. "This is Dr. Aaron Blake of the Soul Research Program. To anyone who hears this, know that the Galactic Council hides the truth. They call the Nareen destroyers, but I've seen one. She is not death, she is life itself. If you destroy what you fear, you destroy your own future." He sent the transmission through multiple relay points, scattering it across different channels. Lyra watched him silently, her eyes full of sorrow. "You're risking everything," she said. Aaron smiled faintly. "I've already lost everything worth keeping except you." The ground began to shake. Outside, the sky lit up with bright streaks of fire. Council ships entering the atmosphere. Aaron grabbed his pack and helped Lyra stand. "We have to move," he said. Lyra shook her head. "They'll find us anywhere, human Aaron." Her small voice trembled. "I can stop them, but it will hurt," she said. Aaron froze. "What do you mean, stop them?" Lyra looked at him with eyes that shimmered like oceans. "I can release all my light. It will blind their ships, disrupt their systems, maybe even push them away." Aaron's voice rose, filled with fear. "That's suicide, Lyra. You'll die." Lyra smiled gently. "Mother did the same for me," she said softly. "Now it's my turn." Aaron's heart broke. He knelt in front of her, gripping her small glowing hands. "No, Lyra, we'll find another way." But Lyra shook her head, her voice quiet but firm. "You once said you would protect me, but sometimes protecting means letting go." Aaron couldn't speak. Tears streamed down his face, falling into the cold dust. He whispered, "You're just a child." She smiled sadly. "Then I'll die as one, loved by my father." The roar outside grew louder. Shadows of ships passed over the cave, their lights cutting through the darkness. Aaron's mind raced. He turned to the transmitter and started recording again. "This is my final transmission," he said, his voice breaking. "To whoever finds this, remember her name, Lyra, the child of light. She was not a weapon, not a curse. She was hope, and hope should never be destroyed." Lyra placed her small, glowing hand on his face. "Father, I'm not gone yet," she whispered. Her body began to glow brighter, the light spreading across the cave walls. The rock around them trembled, cracks forming in the ceiling. Aaron pulled her close, shouting, "Stop, you don't have to do this." But Lyra smiled through her tears. "I have to," she said, "for you, for all of them." The first missile hit the surface, shaking the mountain. The sound of explosions filled the air, dust falling from above. Aaron fell to the ground, covering Lyra with his body. The light grew stronger, blinding, pure, endless. He felt her heartbeat fading, merging with his own. "Don't leave me," he whispered. "I can't lose you again." Lyra's voice echoed in his mind, calm and distant. "You won't, because I'll be in your light now." Outside, the fleet's sensors went haywire. Every ship was flooded with a massive energy surge. Pure, uncontrolled light. Engines failed, weapons overloaded. Pilots screamed as their controls melted in their hands. Through the chaos, the red moon turned white for a moment, brighter than any star. When the explosion ended, silence returned. The battlefield was gone. The ships, the soldiers, the mountain, all reduced to dust and quiet light. Only one figure remained, kneeling in the middle of a glowing crater, Aaron Blake Bisum. But he was no longer human. His body shimmered with silver veins of light, his eyes bright blue. He looked down at his hands, glowing softly. Inside his chest, he could feel a second heartbeat. Faint, but alive. Lyra's voice whispered in his mind, "I told you, we'd share the same sky again." Aaron stood slowly, his gaze fixed on the stars above. In his heart, And the small communicator blinked weakly. His message still transmitting, he lifted it to his lips one last time. "This is Aaron Blake," he said softly. "Lyra's light lives on. In me." He dropped the communicator into the dust and looked toward the horizon. The galaxy stretched before him. Endless, dark, waiting. But this time, he didn't feel alone. Hook ending. Far away, deep in the Galactic Council's command ship, a young officer replayed Aaron's transmission. His hands trembled as he heard Lyra's name, and for a brief moment the lights across the ship flickered. Glowing faint blue, a quiet voice whispered through the speakers. "Please, don't fear the light." And then it was gone. The war was over, but no one could explain what had really happened on the frozen moon. When the Galactic Council sent scouts to investigate, all they found was light. A desert of glowing dust. No metal, no bodies, no wreckage, only silence. It was as if the stars themselves had reached down and erased everything. Months passed. The story of the light surge spread across colonies and planets. Some called it a disaster, others called it a miracle. But hidden in the whispers, one name began to rise. Lyra, the child of light, the girl who turned destruction into peace. Far away, on a quiet planet covered with golden forests, a traveler walked alone. His eyes glowed faintly blue, his skin shimmered under sunlight. Every step he took left behind a soft trail of light in the soil. It was Dr. Aaron Blake, though he no longer looked entirely human. His body was half energy, half flesh, his heart beating with two rhythms, his and Lyra's. He had no ship, no tools, no mission. But wherever he walked, dying plants grew again, broken machines flickered to life, and old villages started to glow at night. People whispered that a wanderer of light moved between worlds, a man who healed without asking for anything, a man who spoke to the stars like they were his friends. Sometimes when Aaron looked at the sky, he heard her voice, soft, gentle, like music carried by the wind. "Ind, Father," Lyra would whisper. "Do you see them?" He would smile and answer quietly, "Yes, Lyra, they're still beautiful." But deep in the heart of the Galactic Council, fear remained. They couldn't understand what he had become. They called him a fusion being, a forbidden mix of human and Nareen. Some wanted to hunt him down, others wanted to study him, but the more they searched, the harder he was to find, because light cannot be captured by shadow. One night, under a violet sky, Aaron sat beside a small river. He watched the reflection of stars ripple across the water. For the first time in years, he felt peace. A group of children from a nearby village ran up to him laughing. "Show us the magic again," one boy said. Aaron smiled, opening his palm. A soft glow appeared, floating above his hand like a tiny sun. The children gasped as it split into hundreds of butterflies made of light. They flew around the river, painting the air with color. Their laughter filled the valley. Aaron looked up, eyes soft with memory. "See that, Lyra," he whispered. "You wanted the stars to shine for everyone." He closed his eyes and could almost feel her sitting beside him, her small hand resting on his, warm and gentle. But peace never lasts forever. High above, in the cold halls of the council, a message appeared on their main screen, an alert showing strange energy readings spreading across border systems. The pattern was familiar, light waves shaped like wings. "Impossible," the commander whispered. "It's him. Or her." Back on the planet, Aaron felt it too, a surge of warmth in his chest, stronger than before. He looked up. The stars above were moving, forming lines, a signal written across the sky in pure light. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind, louder than ever. "Father, they hear us now," she said. "They're coming." Aaron stood slowly, watching as beams of light spread across the atmosphere. But it wasn't war this time, it was change. Everywhere the light touched, people looked up in awe, machines powered on, sick children smiled as warmth filled their rooms. Even the council's grand chamber began to glow softly. The commander looked around, confused. "What is this?" he asked. A quiet scientist whispered, "It's not destruction, it's life." In the following days, reports came from across the galaxy. Star systems once dying began to burn brighter, oceans glowed with new energy, crops regrew on barren moons, and every transmission carried the same signature, the light of Lyra. It was as if her spirit had spread through every photon, every ray, every living breath. Aaron stood on the mountain and watched it all unfold. He felt her presence stronger now, not beside him, but within everything. "Lyra," he whispered, "you've become the universe itself." Her voice answered, calm and proud. I only did what you taught me, Father. I gave what I couldn't keep. Tears filled his glowing eyes. He looked at his hands, shining softly in the dawn light. Then it's time, he said. Time for me to rest. He took one last deep breath, looking at the sunrise. It was brighter than any he had ever seen, golden, white, and alive. As the first rays touched him, his body began to fade into light, but he wasn't afraid. He smiled and whispered, "Thank you, Lyra, for reminding me what it means to be human." And then he was gone. Not dead, transformed. The mountain shimmered, and where he once stood, a new tree grew. Its roots glowed softly, and its leaves shimmered like tiny stars. Every night, the villagers came to see it. They said when the wind blew through its branches, it whispered in two voices. One human, one light, final scene, hook ending. Years later, across the galaxy, a young explorer on a space station received a faint transmission. It was old, broken, and full of static. He repaired the audio and listened carefully. A woman's soft voice came through, trembling but filled with hope. "Please feed my daughter. My body is yours, human." The explorer looked out the window at the stars and whispered, "What does it mean?" But far away, one star flickered brighter, almost like it was smiling, and from the light, a child's voice echoed softly through space. "It means love never dies." The screen went dark, and a new dawn began.